Hello viewers, I'm Avatar Boy here with another review of a TV show, and this time it's my first TV show that's not related to Avatar or Korra, and that's because obviously Korra is over, and I'm going to continue making the channel focus on that when we have new stuff to talk about, mostly with the comics coming out in a while, and I'll post my video fairly soon of the new Avatar comic, Smoke and Shadow Part 1. But until then, I've been saying I'm just gonna do like different random reviews, one thing I'm passionate about, Disney and all that stuff. I already posted one or two of those, and I have plans for other ones. So whenever I have time in between my school schedule and work schedule and everything, I'll post one of those and get that out. But for right now, I'm gonna start with the new season coming up this next week. So excited. I'm gonna start posting videos regularly about The Flash Season 2, and this will be my Season 1 review, because obviously Season 1's been over for months now. And I got the DVD, which is what I've been waiting for. I didn't want to review it after, without being able to rewatch all the episodes. So I was able to rewatch them all within like a few days. I pretty much marathoned all the way through. And so now I have solid thoughts and opinions that I can bring up, and I'm less confused with how I was at the end of Season 1, seeing the episodes probably 3 times now, most of them. So yeah, let's get started. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm going to start whenever I get the chance, Season 2 videos. I don't know every single episode, because once again, with between work and school, I don't know how that'll work. But I at least hope to get one out on the premiere and the finale, and maybe mid-season finale special episodes like that. But I'll at least get a Season 2 overview, and maybe first half of Season 2 review, second half, and overall review, and all that stuff. But, so yeah, I don't know exactly how that'll work out, but hopefully I can get through that. Okay, now the main discussion point, once again, The Flash, CW's The Flash Season 1. And first impressions, I really, really love this show. The reason why I really started watching it, because I'm not really that much into comics. Like, I've been watching superhero movies and I like them, but I don't really know the source material. I'm not a person that reads all the comics. Like, I've started reading more Spider-Man comics and the Flash comics just because those are what interests me the most, but I still haven't really, I don't really know much about the foundation like a lot of comic book readers would have going into the show. So I just saw that it was a new show. My friend was talking about it because he was a big fan of Arrow that was on CW, and I had seen the first season of that and I liked it. Once again, I wasn't really into DC that much, but I decided to give it a chance to see if it was just like Arrow, where I just like it kind of casually. And I ended up really loving it. I remember after the pilot episode, I was really excited to see how it would continue. I didn't think I would get into it that quickly. Especially, I didn't know how much I'd really understand going into a completely new superhero like world without knowing a foundation. But yeah, I ended up really loving it all the way through, and I watched all the episodes when they premiered, and yeah, freaked out with everyone, and it was great. And yeah, so that was first impressions. The only main negative, I'll go ahead and get the negative out of the way. The only negative that really stood out to me, and it bothered me all the time, the first time especially, the second time, then a few episodes the third time through, I've noticed that there's a lot of scientific reasoning and explanations for everything the Flash does, basically, which makes sense. And sometimes that stuff can get really confusing. And some of the stuff really honestly doesn't make sense, but I don't really hang on to that much. I'm just kind of just like, okay, it's a TV show, don't really overthink it. But I kind of like more of an explanation that I can understand, because a lot of these terms I just don't know. A lot of people probably do. I just don't, because I'm not into science and all that stuff. But once again, that's not really a big deal with the show. It makes sense why there's all the science, because they're all scientists and they're all like, working in forensics and a science lab, and they have to test Barry and his speed and everything, and they get all the scientific stuff mixed in. But yeah, sometimes it got really confusing, and like I said, some of the stuff just didn't make sense, really. Like, I guess that's realistic. Like, one of the things, for example, he had to run through a wall to get a bomb knocked off of him, or run through a different type of force. He ran through, like, a gas truck or something. But, they said if you move at a certain rate, the cells will, like, vibrate enough to allow you to pass through something. I'm like, okay, I guess so. I don't really know. So yeah, that stuff, once again, it's not that big of a deal, but that just kind of bothered me. Okay, the main negatives out of the way. Now let's get to the good stuff. There's 3 main plots throughout season 1 of The Flash, and the main plot has to do with Barry, Caitlin, Cisco, the main group. I guess you say Iris, Joe, and their relationship or chemistry with Dr. Wells, Harrison Wells, which who's also the villain for the season, Reverse Flash, and that's the main plot line, especially as you get to the latter half of the season. And then there's another kind of plot mixed in to a bunch of episodes dealing with Firestorm, what that is, how Ronnie survived, and all that. And then there's a smaller plot dealing with General Eiling, who later links with Gorilla Grodd later on. So those are the main 3 plots or continuing elements throughout the show or season. And out of these, I definitely would prefer, obviously, the main one, dealing with Reverse Flash. That's when the show really started getting really good, like past the mid-season finale where you see Reverse Flash actually show up, and you're just like, and it gets revealed who it is. It's just crazy and awesome. And I think a part of that is just because Tom Cavanagh, who plays Harrison Wells or Reverse Flash, does an incredible job. Probably, I see this said by all the fans. He nails that role so much, and especially rewatching it and knowing exactly who it is, because I had my suspicions since season 1, because they definitely don't try to hide that really he's at least working with the villain, or even if he isn't a villain, he's I don't know, he's one of the villains. We might not know that he's Reverse Flash, but we know there's something suspicious about him from the episode 1. And looking back at it, there's so many hints and foreshadowing moments, and just his chemistry with everyone. He plays along so well, and sometimes when, like, it talks about Barry getting faster or something, obviously now that we know his plan, he kind of grins in the background, and you don't really notice it. You're just like, okay, why is he grinning? But he does that a lot, and just how he reads the lines, once again, his chemistry with everyone, playing along, it's just so well done. And once again, Tom Cavanagh is the best actor on the show by far, and I'm so happy that they're bringing him back. Obviously, the first Flash is gone, but Harrison Wells still is around. So, yeah. He also had pretty much all the cliffhangers almost, besides Gorilla Grodd. He was either killing someone, intimidating someone in his like secret lair bunker thing, revealing the Reverse Flash thing. And yeah, once again, that's the part where the season really took off and started getting really great. And the Firestorm discussion, I like Ronnie as a character. I like how he reconnected with Caitlin and his dynamic, and I like Dr. Stein. He's really kind of cool. He's nerdy, but he's fun. He's funny. Yeah, their dynamic, how they merge and everything. I don't really have much more to say about that. It wasn't that big of a plot, but obviously it had to be in there because he's kind of a recurring character now. And the General Eiling / Grodd discussion, probably my least favorite. plot of the season. Especially the Gorilla Grodd stuff was fine, but General Eiling overall, especially before he got linked to Gorilla Grodd, it just, the whole idea was he was trying to research and find out what makes these metahumans so special, so that he can use it in the military to give the army an advantage. And that was pretty much his whole dynamic, trying to capture these metahumans and do tests on them, figure out what makes them get their powers and everything. Okay, characters. We have Barry, obviously the main character of The Flash. Caitlin, Cisco, Harrison Wells, Iris, Joe, and Eddie. Those are your main gang throughout the show. And Barry, let's start off with him. He's a great character. You see a lot of growth and development from him getting his power, and I think it's really interesting in comparison to Arrow, especially how they wanted to make the show lighter, because Arrow gets pretty dark, and even though this show has some of those moments, you can tell they're so different. Like in Arrow, Oliver, he often doesn't have any problem with killing people who stand in their way. But Barry, he at least tries to talk it out, save them. He just puts them in prison. He doesn't kill anyone. Well, intentionally. Unless, like, obviously something really bad is going on, like, obviously Reverse Flash at the end of the season, even though he didn't technically kill him. He said he wanted to. And that's kind of more understandable because he was wanting to harm his friends and everything. But overall, the main just villains throughout the season, that he just puts them away. He tries to save them, and when a guy he can't, but he tries to, and he mourns their death so much, and I'm just like, okay, it's really weird and interesting to have a hero that is so against killing people or having anything bad happen to these people, no matter how bad they are. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, the difference between him and Oliver, especially later in the season when they cross over. Caitlin, she's probably one of my favorites. She's just really interesting, even though we don't get that much of her. We see a little bit back at the lab and her dynamic with Wells and Cisco working together, and Felicity. It's just really great. I don't really have much to say about her because we don't know that much about her. Cisco, you have to love Cisco. He's just like the average nerdy fanboy that like freaks out whenever an Arrow character comes on, and as he says, he makes the toys, he makes all the scientific stuff. He's just really awesome. Harrison Wells, once again, I already talked about him basically. Reverse Flash, the main villain. He's so well put together throughout the show. His dynamic with everyone's just incredible. Iris, I really like Iris. There were a few episodes where she got really tied up in all the romance and all that stuff, even though I basically like that stuff in the show, which I'll get into later. Iris, overall, I really like her character, and I'm really excited to see what they do with her now that Eddie is gone. I'm curious how she reacts, what the aftermath of everything is. Having just found out, basically, that Barry's the Flash, and he's been hiding it from her. And it seemed like she's kind of let that go. There were a few episodes where she constantly got on to them for keeping a secret and not telling her that Barry's the Flash. And it just got really annoying because I'm just like, okay, I get why to kind of be mad at first, but then you have to think them their point of view. They were doing this to protect you, and you just kept on nagging at them. She just got really annoying there, but overall, I like her character, and I want to see more of her. Joe is awesome. He's one of my favorites, and I was so terrified that he was going to die one episode. I kept on saying, Joe's going to die, Joe's going to die. He's getting too much happy this season finale when Barry started referring to him as his dad, and how even though he technically isn't his dad, he loved him just as much. He does his dad and everything. It's really, really, you have to like Joe, just kind of like Cisco. And he's He works with the police force, obviously. You see a lot of him pretty much every episode. And yeah, whenever he was put in danger, I was just like, no, please don't die. And then his partner, Eddie, he, I didn't start liking him at first at all, mostly because I suspected him to be the Reverse Flash. And once again, I didn't know the name in the comics just because I don't know the comics that well. But apparently, his last name was Thawne, and the Reverse Flash's last name was Thawne. As we learned later, they were just related. But I was just like, okay, is that kind of like foreshadowing him turning bad, and he's just trying to get on their good side or get inside Star Labs or something, and he's gonna turn on them and kill someone or something. So yeah, I was just really nervous about that for like half the season. And then the last half, I mean, he ended up sacrificing himself so Wells wouldn't kill Barry and everyone else. So, I mean, you kind of have to like him after that. You kind of feel sorry for him. You end up rooting for this guy. As much as I kind of wanted Barry and Iris just to end up together, like we know they're going to, I it he's the other side of the romance triangle, but he's a great character overall. And even though he didn't really start out that great, I really ended up liking him as a character. The crossovers with Arrow, once again, I really liked how they made it so that you could understand with all the references. You would get more out of it if you were a fan of the Arrow show. Like me, I've only seen season 1. I knew Barry was in season 2. I just never got around to it. But overall, if I saw a lot of people wondering if they would understand what the Flash is about. They're completely different. They just happen to be in the same universe, and they refer to different things in the different cities and different shows, what has happened in the past. But it doesn't take away from your experience watching it if you don't know Arrow or the comics and how they link together. They're completely different. You can understand it, which I really liked. The romance and drama was really well done. As I kind of brought up earlier, I really ship either Felicity and Barry or Caitlin and Barry, but which I got like one episode each of those, for each of those. But yeah, I've kind of held on to those ships, but I do like Iris and Barry, so and that's gonna be canon. So you know, what can you do? They're married in the comics, and you know that's just how it goes. The main hero always ends up with his best friend or whatever. One thing I really liked, and this show did a lot that a lot of shows can't do anymore, there were a lot of plot twists and surprises throughout the whole season, and it just added to how good it was getting, especially, once again, the Reverse Flash stuff toward the last half of the season. There were so many twists and everything, and it's so great. The finale. And the finale is really amazing. It wasn't action-packed like I honestly expected. Basically, the main fight took place before that, where he called Firestorm, Ronnie, and Oliver to help him bring down the Reverse Flash. And we saw a cool fight between them versus the Reverse Flash before that, and they basically took care of him and then just threw him in prison. That's where he is pretty much the whole finale until like the last 5 minutes. So it wasn't action-packed like I thought. I thought the finale was actually... I knew the time traveling thing was going to happen, but I actually thought it was Barry who we saw in the flashback around his mom fighting the Reverse Flash. I thought that was what we were going to see in the finale. I thought that Barry was the Barry that we knew fighting the Reverse Flash. Well, this time traveling, so it get really confusing. The Barry from the show, I thought, was him time traveling, and he ended up accidentally killing his mom or something. I actually thought that was gonna be where they went or something, where the whole show would have been like, oh wait, we didn't really know the story or something like that. But it ended up not happening like that. That was a Barry from another dimension trying to fight and stop Reverse Flash, while our Barry tried to save his mom but was told not to when young Barry got zapped out of the house and was okay. Yeah, once again, I tried to explain that as best I could. I have it in my mind, but I don't know how I can put it into words. It was really confusing. just to begin with. There were like 3 different berries there, and it's just really confusing. But yeah, not action packed, but this finale made more sense for it not to be. Like I said, we got plenty of confrontations between him and Reverse Flash before that. We didn't need to see the same thing again. 2 Blurs fighting. And why I say it was needed, Barry needed to have that constant back and forth talking to his friends and family what he should do. Should he take the risk and risk messing up the timeline or never seeing them again or having a worse life just so he can save his mom? Because that's realistic to have that doubt and wondering what they should do. And everyone basically, his dad told him not to do it. Iris said, just listen to your heart, which I kind of expected. Joe said he needs to do it. And obviously that kind of, like, who do I listen to? My dad? My, basically, fake dad that I love just as much? Or my friend? I don't know. And so, yeah, that was really realistic. That took up probably, like, at least 30 minutes of the episode. Which, once again, it was needed. We didn't need to have that action. It was really emotional. Like, when he actually sees his mom die, it's actually worse. Because he's actually there and gets to talk to his mom and sees her, like, breathe her last breath. Which is really... And then they start crying, and then literally everyone gets emotional. Every single reaction that I've seen, it really, like, tears you up. And it's, like, really emotional, and wow. Once again, the acting was great in that. Grant Gustin as Barry, like, nailed that. And so yeah, it was really emotional, especially, and also, if that wasn't enough, him saying goodbye to his mom, we saw Eddie sacrifice himself, like I said, so Reverse Flash couldn't end up winning. Because since he's his ancestor, his great-great-grandfather, I think, he, obviously, if he doesn't exist and kills himself, Eobard or Reverse Flash wouldn't never exist, so that ended up kind of canceling each other out, so, hey, happy ending. Well, almost. And so, yeah, that was really surprising. I expected that. I saw many theories about that. I'm like, well, if Eddie kills himself, then obviously Eobard wouldn't exist. Problem solved. But it ended up being more complex than that, and I actually didn't think they were going to do it, but they did, and it was great. And the cliffhanger of the wormhole opening up after the Reverse Flash fight and Eddie sacrificing himself, it really made me mad how I had to wait until now just to get several months just to get a slight answer what happened. I mean, Barry, like, there's a black hole swallowing Central City and is going to destroy the whole world eventually. The whole universe, because they said it wouldn't stop at the whole world. And you're just kind of left after all the time traveling stuff, kind of confused, because you're kind of like, if Eobard didn't exist, then wouldn't his mom never have been killed in the first place? And wouldn't Star Labs not exist? Because, well, no, Harrison would have existed, so I guess that makes sense. Wow, I'm still trying to figure out this stuff. Like, Eobard didn't exist, so why did the black hole, after it was closed, start just opening up again? Was that a consequence of Eobard not existing? Or was the universe just trying to correct itself with Eobard gone, just the kind of, that'll, like, suck up what wasn't supposed to exist? I don't really know. But, yeah, once again, it gets really confusing. But yeah, what a cliffhanger. I mean, you just see Barry go into a black hole and you boop, the end. You're just like, okay, so what happened? Did he get sucked into another dimension, or what? I don't know. So yeah, I'm kind of left astounded and still confused and still figuring stuff out daily. Great special effects, amazing special effects. It got nominated for an Emmy for special effects, and a show on the CW, you wouldn't expect to get that budget. Maybe like ABC or stuff, but this show has really good special effects. I didn't expect it, especially because pretty much everything the Flash does is special effects. Like, the Flash is a person. You can't move realistically that fast, obviously, and you have to add the lightning, and on top of that, the fight scenes with him, like, flying through the air, all that stuff had to be animated, and all the slowing down motion so we can see things from his point of view, like moving at supersonic speed with everything floating in slow motion. All that stuff looked great, especially for a TV budget. Obviously, it could have been better, but I mean, it's a TV budget. That it's not going to look like a movie. So for a TV budget, that was amazing. Like all the animation and everything. Really good acting, especially Tom Cavanaugh, Grant Gustin as well. And Cisco, Joe, all of them. You really felt the chemistry, and it was great. Specific episodes that stand out for me. Once again, the finale. It was great. It was really emotional. Different from what I expected. That I thought it was just going to be a fight. The Rogue Heir, which is the episode before the finale, with the actual takedown of the First Flash. Who is Harrison Wells? I just love the villain in that. How they kind of morph. That person kind of morphs from each other, and you just kind of just like. I honestly expected something to happen where we thought it was a clone of himself, the actual villain, but it wasn't, and like it would actually end up being one of the characters turning bad or something. Like I actually thought that was gonna happen, but then the pilot. I actually think the pilot's really, really good, especially for a pilot, because I never really liked the first episodes that much. Like they never really do it for me. Which a lot of people, because I mean, it's a pilot. They're gonna set up stuff. They have to introduce everything. They're often kind of boring once you watch them once and know what's going on. But this one was an exception. I really liked it, and yeah, Going Rogue was another one that I really liked. I really love Felicity as a character. At least what I see, a lot of people dislike her in Arrow, but I don't really know much about her in there. And once again, I showed Barry and Caitlin. I mean, Barry, Caitlin, and Felicity, so I have to like that episode. So yeah. Oh, one other thing. This show was so smart with, once again, it was surprising in some places, but some places I did absolutely not see that coming. It was really smart how they played out everything, specifically in the trap, where it turns out Harrison let one of the metahumans go, the metahuman that can like control and morph into someone. He like faked them out by being the Reverse Flash, and we thought he was the Reverse Flash, so when he was shot, we were just like, okay, he's gonna heal and hop back up or something and get away. But no, he was just laying there and he's actually dead. And you're just like, wait, what happened? And then it turns out it was all a setup and he's been watching them the whole time. It's just insane how this show like played that out and how Harrison was so smart with everything. It's just insane. But yeah. So overall, it's a really strong first season. And I can't wait till season 2. Once again, I hope to get some videos throughout the season up. So yeah, I'll just have to see how that goes. But yeah. Be sure to leave comments, questions in the in feedback, and yeah, I really like hearing what you guys have to say. If you agree with me, why not, and yeah, thanks for watching.